Previously, Mash has been born without magic, which is problematic since it is the most important thing in society. Those who can use magic have a mark on their face, while those without the mark are eliminated. While having a hard time, Bernd finds the abandoned baby Mash and raises him through the years. He did a lot of weight training, and older Mash is now a physical specimen. One day, the magic police catch wind of his existence and attack him and his dad, but he manages to defeat them without magic, which surprises everyone. The leader of the unit, named Brad, promises that they will continue to hunt him down, but he proposes that if Mash becomes the best student in magic school, he will not report him, as it would mean that society has accepted him. The story continues at the Academy, which is said to be a historic and prestigious school that produces people that are known to be pillars of the magic realm. The prospective students gather at one of the open fields for the notoriously difficult entrance examination. Less than 3% of applicants get admitted, meaning only those with superior magical power are allowed to graze the school. Pulse Mash stands there with no magical power, looking to make a splash. While the students prepare, Lucci decides to get an early look at the year's applicants. He notes that a few of the candidates are from higher society, which makes him happy given the prestige of the school, but his thoughts are getting distracted by a clanging sound that begins to irritate him. Lucci scans around to find the culprit, and he's frozen in shock to see Mash lifting such ridiculous weight. He's also confused that someone would be pumping iron just when they're about to start the exam. For magic school, Lucci calms himself down and immediately labels Mash as a slacker. He looks over again and is shocked that he's doing the iconic invisible chair while reading a fitness book. Haters will say he stole the invisible cloak from Harry Potter. Lucci is more offended that he's not reading a magic book. He even notices Bernd dead and Brad looking the exact opposite of inconspicuous as they try to blend in to keep an eye on Mash throughout the examination. His father is a little skeptical about how his son is going to pass their test without using magic. But the magic officer is confident that his scar will fool everyone, as it's indistinguishable from the real one. All Mash has to do is pass the tests. Lucci does not think much of it, but he doesn't expect him to go further. Lucci's voice is projected across the area, welcoming everyone while Mash eats. His cream puff's wondering what kind of test he's going to have to do. He appears stylishly with a burst of flames, which impresses everyone. Lucci announces that he will be overseeing their examination. The students get both intimidated and happy as he's the 7th best up-and-coming mage. They continue to give him more hype, stating that despite his young age, he has mastered a lot of advanced spells. Lucci twitches in excitement, wanting them to praise him more. Mash kills his hype by commenting on his lame entrance that commented on his lame entrance that comment annoys Lucci, who makes the promise to fail him. He announces that the first examination will commence as he makes seats appear from the ground and summons paper and feathers for them to write. The students begin to get excited because they have never seen this type of magic before. Mash acts like a stoplight for the hype train when he points out that he could have just taken them to an already prepared room for the test. This second comment makes Lucci promise to end him for his transgression. He again brushes off Mash's comments because he believes Mash will not last long. The students take a seat at their respective places and are told that they have 30 minutes to complete the test. They all turn their papers over and are surprised to see the questions squirming around the page. Lucci reveals that he has enchanted the papers with magic, so to pass the exam, they must dispel the enchantment and line up the questions. Bernd dead is not confident his son can pull this one off. Even Brad starts to guess his proposition. Meanwhile, Mash kindly asks the letters to stop moving across the page, but nothing happens, so he snaps his pen in frustration on his second time, asking the words get intimidated and quickly arrange themselves. His people can't believe what they are seeing. He takes his paper to Lucci to inspect, and the examiner is surprised that he managed to complete the task. Mash continues to use his freakish physical capabilities to pass more of the tests, which puts everyone in a state of disbelief. Lucci watches on, fresh, frustrated, and a slacker like Mash is still around. He thinks of a way to eliminate him and quickly announces the next test. Lucci erects a maze around the students and gives them 30 minutes to reach the goal. Mash feels confident about this one, but he is approached by Lemon, who wants to tag along with him and explains that it would be more efficient. He sees the logic in her statement and agrees. As they navigate, she falls into the majority of the traps, which makes him think twice about teaming up with a useless lemon while his guard is down. She apprehends him with a handcuff spell and reveals that she has been deceiving him. Her true aim is to keep him away from the goal. She is shocked to see him casually break the cuffs and leave, because he also has his reasons why you must reach the goal as she plans her next move. A giant monster asks her riddle, but she's unable to answer because she's so terrified she tries to attack with her wand, but the Egyptian monster knocks it out of her hand and counters when her time is up. However, Mash comes to the rescue and knocks it out with a clean punch. She's baffled as to why he came back to say as someone who just tried to hinder him. Mash explains that he noticed that her reasons were similar to his, so he felt sorry for her. Because of the delay, she expresses that they might not make it to the goal on time. The other students who made it out congregate waiting for the timer to end. Lucci is confident that Mash will not make it given the time. Remaining, his face changes when they hear loud thuds approaching them, and everyone's jaw drops when they see that Mash has created a shortcut by knocking the walls down. The examiner is especially surprised because the walls are 1 meter thick and impervious to all magic. Headmaster Wahlberg watches the commotion from his office, and he is intrigued by Mash. The student begin to question the legitimacy of how the two completed the maze, and this leads to the enchanting that the duo should be sent home. Mash takes all their criticism head on, but it makes him a little sad, so Lemon shallots for them to stop. She tells them it was her fault, and this prompts Lucci to tell her to shut up and threatens her for good measure. Lemon doesn't heed his warning and continues to confess that Lucci promised her a place at the school if she stopped Mash from getting to the goal. She took the offer because her family is poor, so she wanted to be accepted into the school to open opportunities to remove them from that condition. She embellished her encounter with Mash, a little stating that he asked for her hand in marriage. But the guy calmly corrects her. Lucci admits to his actions and even confirms that he doesn't. Like Mash, the examiner begins to talk down on them and release his magic energy as he asks if they want to challenge his decision. Mash dashes over to him and snaps his wand as he tells the professor that he's gone too far. The rest of the students can't believe what he has just done. His guardians are also taken aback by his boldness. Before Lucci can take further action, the headmaster stops him in his tracks with one shout while he floats above him. He announces the final interviews will now commence. From this point, Headmaster Wahlberg claims he's taking charge of the examination. He asks Lucci to come to see him at his office when the selection process has finished. He selects Mash as the one to be interviewed, and he appears in a dark room surrounded by officials. They exchange greetings, and Mash expresses his gratitude to be allowed into the HQ. They ask him a series of questions, and the others are not impressed with his answers, but the headmaster is intrigued by them. He wants to know why he decided to save the girl. With the knowledge that he would not have enough time to complete the maze, he simply lets the old-timer know that he feels like he would have regretted it if he didn't do it. The headmaster is amused with that answer and concludes that he must be the type who acts before thinking. Mash never considered that the Sphinx might be stronger, nor did the idea of not being able to break the walls across his mind. Mash believes that it had to be done, even if it was considered. Wahlberg attributes his words to Mash as not understanding the ways of the world yet. Beta Dumbledore explains that many creatures exist in the world that are stronger than him. He wonders if he could keep the same logic and take the same course of action when he's faced with something that overwhelmingly outpowers him. As the headmaster makes this statement, he uses himself as an example and releases a sinister aura before casting an ominous-looking spell. Even the teachers are terrified by the magical power. The spell begins to activate as the monster cranks down a pointed blade tip towards a doll. Mash calmly wants to know what stands before him. Wahlberg explains that it is an ancient spell that transfers the soul of the target's most cherished people into the doll. Bernd suddenly fades to the floor as his soul is transferred. If the knife were to stab into the soul-filled doll, that cherished person will never return to their body. Mash begins to punch the blade, trying to stop it, but it doesn't move, and it causes great damage to his hand. The teachers watch in shock as Mash lodges his hands between the blade and the doll, which halted even the headmaster, is a little surprised by his actions. The young man states that Wahlberg can't maintain his spell forever, so he has turned this into an endurance contest. The headmaster believes depending on the person. power can be used to harm or help. This is why he emphasizes protecting the weak and regulating the strong, also known as nobles oblige. From his observation, Wahlberg feels like Mash is a human that possesses that capacity. He deactivates the spell and apologizes as the place is lit up with candles. The old wizard reveals that he was testing him. He has no sinister intention of that nature. Mash accepts his apologies and answers his question of if he was to face the headmaster. The guy simply states that he would beat him down with his fists. Even the bootleg Dumbledore is stunned by that statement. The other teachers find his comment to be the highest form of insolence, causing them to scold him. The headmaster laughs again and welcomes him to the Easton Magic Academy by offering him a spot. Mash is already a legend in my eyes. All the while, Brendan's soul returns to his body. After a short while, they begin class where they learn the lot. Opening spell, which is the most basic the teacher demonstrates, but Mash just opens it with his bare hands. The tutor gets irate that he used brute force to break the lock, which did not open it. She reminds him that he's here to learn magic. She is shocked when Mash explains that he's not good with magic. Finn sits next to him and already sees Mash as a troublemaker and knows to keep his distance. Meanwhile, a group of seniors peek into the class with a sinister look as they smile. Later on, Finn looks for his dorm, hoping that he's not staying together with Mash. He reaches his place of stay and is surprised that there is no door. He turns and sees he is rooming with Mash, who is holding the door. This is not his ideal situation. The two introduce themselves, and Mash just warns him that he might cause trouble. Because he doesn't understand how things work yet, he changes into his workout gear and begins to introduce his muscles, which Finn finds strange now that the ice is broken. He asks how to become the divine visionary. Finn explains that one has to collect gold coins by excelling in tests coursework. Extracurricular activities and school life, silver and bronze, are awarded for lesser performances no matter how many gold coins one collects. If grades are not kept up each semester, one will be suspended. After hearing this, Mash holds his head in despair, but he snaps out of the mindset quickly and offers Finn a cream puff to cement their friendship. That brings the episode to an end.